Today we have two very special guests with us. We have Dr. Arun Ibrahim with us, who is PhD and he is into R&D in top level, and he has traveled throughout the world. And we have another guest. He is into sales, pharmaceutical sales. Mr. Sanjay Paul. He is into sales and he is in top level in sales based at Hyderabad. So we are going to talk to them and get to know more in detail about the scope in R&D in pharmaceutical world and scope in sales in pharmaceutical world. And I am Kumar Abhishek. I am into product management, and I am going to talk about the scope of product management in pharmaceutical field. Yes. So let us welcome them and let us speak to them one by one. Let us welcome Dr. Arun Ibrahim and Mr. Sanjay Paul.
What is your personality profile? And based on that, you will have to select a particular opportunity that will come to you in the future. All right. So if you have that understanding about yourself, you will be able to do very well in your professional life once you have completed your education. And having said that, what are the options that are there for you? So if you look at it, generally the most common things that people would know would be straight away as sales or production. Okay, straight after your education. These are the two main areas that would be available to you. But let's not forget that there are options in teaching. There are options when it comes to research and development. I'll get into more about this a little later. There's a very good area associated with communications. That's a very broad area, lots of things. And today with new age, for example, online retail stores, pharmacy stores, they also need a lot of professionals. So they're insurance companies. So there are lots of other jobs. Then there's an entire back office functions like pharmacovigilance, data management, analytics. There are so many. So before you decide that this is the area that I would like to look into, you need to first of all know what are my strengths. And based on my strengths, I will have to choose whichever options I would have to pick up. So that in a nutshell is about what are the options out there. Okay. Now, I would also like to the thing that you have to how do you want to approach your educational requirements? Okay, with those understanding, you will be able to diversify. Even if you're working in one particular area, you will be able to move into another area. But there are skill sets that you may have to gain over a period of time. There are sacrifices that needs to be made without which nothing is going to happen. While we may see a lot of people successful, it is only because they have invested time, effort, and energy into studying continuously for increasing their positions within organizations. Okay. I'll just quickly take a look at the list of questions that come to me. Questions is how can I do this? How can I get better jobs and opportunities and stuff like that? What are the skills required? So I would say the base skill that it is not developed during your B.Pharm days or your life science education days. It's developed over a period of time. Obviously, you have studied for the last 12 years and then you come for B.Pharm. So your communication, be it written or oral, your presentability, your habits, your the behavior. All these things are very, very important, not just your graduation certificate. It goes a long way in not only getting the job, but also continuing in various positions that are provided to you. Another common question is, when do we start searching for a particular job? Um, so the right time to search for a job would be towards after you finished all your exams, um, um, in final year, and then you can start searching for the job. While you're searching for a job, maybe you can also look at doing some additional courses like in finishing school. You could look at what is your areas of interest and accordingly select another a direction that you would like to go. For example, you could do additional courses in computer science, maybe if you are interested in the analytics and related areas. Data sciences now, additional courses are there now. So that is another direction that you can always take if you are interested. If not, the pure like masters in pharmacy. Another thing that I want to point out is, first of all, you need to understand that it's not only the pharmaceutical industry that you can go into. There, I would broadly classify it as life science industries, payers, and providers. Payers, as in companies that pay to other companies, like insurance companies. They fall under, as an example, payers. Providers are hospitals. Okay, they provide healthcare as a service, right? So apart from, and life sciences goes to say pharmaceutical industry is a subset, which basically means that could be production that you know of, which is manufacturing and things, but there is also a science element to it. There is pure sciences and research and related things. The reason why you need to know what is your calling and what do you may like is because you're not the only one who's looking out for options. Okay, even other graduates from life sciences or other areas like other medical or paramedical or engineering, technical education, all these people are looking for the same jobs because the industry as a whole is a very stable industry and everybody wants options in a stable industry. So you need to be good at what you do, and if you have the right communication and the capability at work, you need to do a good job, and only then will you be able to. Another question that comes to me is people who are already in a job. Okay, now how do you increase? How do you become better in your chosen? The only way to do that is hard work, constantly learning. If you have decided that that is the area that you would like to choose, for example, if you're in research or you're in analytics or you're in sales or marketing or something, you need to take up additional courses in that particular segment and keep growing in that field. Make it known. And it's not only about getting some certificate, which many places you get online and offline. In many colleges also they give you some certificate. It is your ability to go ahead and apply that knowledge, whatever you have gained in doing, and showcasing to the management that you have been able to apply whatever you have learned, and that has brought some kind of a positive benefit to the organization. Only then you have a value, and that is true across any organization, any profession. This is the truth, and it's not different for a pharmacist. In my case, that is the thing that worked for me. I was constantly studying. I'm still studying. As a matter of fact, in another 2 months, I would finish a digital course. And once I finish that, the next one is also planned for data and analytics. Now, while I have some experience working in this particular area, I have no formal education in that sector. So my objective is to get that certificate. Only then it will work. That is the only way in which you can showcase this as a success to the organization, because every year there is a review, there is half yearly, maybe quarterly reviews, half yearly reviews. So they also look at the aspect of how you have grown as a professional, not only at your work, but at your personal time. Have you studied? Have you done something? Have you tried to increase your knowledge in a particular area? And if you have you been able to apply it? And if you are able to showcase these things, these go into your file as a very positive aspect. Now, if it goes into your file, they know that you can try various options for this particular person, and that will work in your favor. And that's the kind of image that you need to always showcase to you. Information. Okay, see, always be positive. Even jokingly, if you are always talking about negative things, that goes across against you in the group. It could be your own team, it could be your own company that you're working for, or in your class. There is nothing called as looking cool. It's about are you thinking positive or are you not? Okay, so if you're not thinking positive, it's not going to work for you. So always think positive and keep doing things that are positive. It'll catapult you very, very fast in your career up ahead. Okay. And don't think that there will be no failures en route. I mean, I have failed so many times, I have lost count. I can tell you that. And but you should be able to get back on your feet fast. Sometimes it's very hard. You need your friends to support, your family to support, and people who don't have that. Well, if you need to meet a psychiatrist, do it, or a psychologist, do it. It's okay. There's nothing like you're nuts. It's about you becoming successful and what and how you will be able to do it. So that is something that you will have to keep in mind and work towards. Okay. In case you have any other additional questions.
Yes, I wanted to ask you something like, we are fortunate to have you here. Like you have traveled entire world and almost most of the places you have seen. How was the experience there? And being into pharma industry, and people say that once you have to go there and settle, and then you should not come back. And you were here in India, and you worked in the companies where you traveled entire world, and you went there and stayed for a few months. How was the experience, and what was your experience you wanted to share with the people?
Okay, so I've also had a good stint in the healthcare IT aspects. So that is where I had an opportunity to travel to various countries and stuff. The function over there was there are two parts. There you wouldn't be traveling alone. You travel as a part of a team, and as a part of the team, there will be a technical consultant. There is a client services person. I used to take care of the role of the client services, and there would be somebody who's subject matter, somebody on that side, or somebody who is junior to you who takes care of all the paperwork. Okay, so and why is that something that came across? And I had an opportunity to be working with multiple people from all over the world, ranging from all the way from Tokyo to the US, New York. So my experience over there largely has been, if you're good at your work, you will be respected everywhere. You're not, you're not. And nobody will allow you to be around also. Don't think that it's easy. You can't. And if you think that somebody is in a position just like that, no, it doesn't happen that way. Even if that such a mistake happens, it will be for a very short duration of time. Okay, because there are other people who are constantly looking for getting into that position. Okay, so hard work is the only way up. Hard work does not mean you work for like 20 hours in a day. No, you need to have a plan. You should be organized. You need to, and you can practice this as students. I would say that honestly, for me, I practice this as a student. What is it that you need to study? How many friends you want to meet? What do you want to do? What do you want to eat? Everything can be planned out. Okay, yeah. Not everything works according to plan, but then that will help you. How did you fail? Okay, how do you come back? What do you do? Planning that becomes a habit, and then you take it forward. Okay, so that is how my experience has been, and the same thing has been applied to all these countries wherever I've traveled, and for whatever work I had gone to. Ensuring that the outcomes that the organization expects and what I expect for myself is come before you travel. I mean, before you come back, you complete your project. So
Yeah.
that's the way it goes.
Yeah. One more question I wanted to ask. You became university topper, and during B Pharma days, when you came to India, education system was different, and you were finding it extremely difficult to cope up with the challenge of the studies and all here. When you were alone from your parents, and you were all alone, stayed in India while your parents were abroad. And when you came to M Pharma, you became university topper. How it happened? How the transformation happened? What is the message you wanted to give it to the people?
Okay.
They want to change their life.
When I came in for bachelor's, my expectation was very different. Okay, and let's just say that I was not that smart as the rest of the classmates. Okay, so they had figured out certain things much before I could figure it out. Okay, so it took me a long time. There are lots of changes that I had to make in my behavioral attributes, mindset. Okay, and in the way you need to prepare. So there's a lot of difference between your 10th standard, 12th standard, and bachelor's. There's a very, very big difference. So for me, it became a very difficult thing. So I had to, come and learn that the hard way. So bachelor's was not very easy. Okay, but that learning I did not waste. Okay, so as soon as I finished my bachelor's, I had an opportunity to work. So another area which not many people would get into is call center. Now, call center associated with healthcare. Okay, selling products over the phone, or having consultations, collecting data, distributing. So there are multiple things. I'm not getting into the details of how and when and all that. So that this was all very new. Now these are not things that you study in your bachelor days and books and all that. Nothing, but the world is very different. That made it very interesting for me. Now, while working, I was corrected on many things, and there were basic aspects associated with management that I learned. Okay, it could be from communication, it could be the way in which you need to do your work, and that added on with my little bit of experience that I had gained in how to study and how to do a course, actually helped in me getting the university first rank. And
Great,
yeah.
great experience. So let us listen to Mr. Sanjay Paul, who has been
That would be
waiting.
good.
Yes, over to you, Mr. Sanjay Paul.
Okay, good evening, everybody. Mr. Abhishek and Dr. Arun, thank you so much for providing this opportunity to just talk to you and talk to your viewers. Well, to start with, like I'm basically a pharmacy graduate. I did my pharmacy from Bangalore University. Right. And after that, I just went on for a business school. I completed my MBA there, and then in the meantime, I was working as well in a couple of companies there. Now, to be very frank, my journey from class 12th, I would take a little back, from class 12th. It was not very smooth. When I came to my university, again I would agree with Dr. Arun. You have some expectation in mind when you come to a college, and then you have a lot of things in your mind running. That okay, fine, this will be like this. Then you will be taken to one certain particular maybe position in life. but that changes very quickly. Okay, and when you go there, and even at least it happened for me, and everything changed suddenly because I was still 12. I was with my parents, and when I came to the university, I was like all alone. And suddenly, I had a feeling of like becoming too big. All right, because got all the kinds of freedoms, and it happens when you get out of those boundaries. It does happen, but still. So and somehow we understood that no, this is what needs to be done, and then we knew that okay, this is the only thing which we need to do. And after the course, I completed the course. Then suddenly, immediately, I started working, and as because I don't feel shy to say that I was not a very good student. I was just an average student, and the moment I came out of the university, the first thing that stood to me was like I need to start earning. And then I got into a company, started working. I mean, after 6, 7 months, probably not even 7 months, 1 year, I thought, what the hell am I doing? Because this is not exactly what I need to do throughout my whole life. And I realized that there needs to be something more which I need to learn to get better on what I was doing. So I joined a business school. I learned how things happen and a lot of things uh, you know I had to learn, and then the real journey started from there. And as the time passed, I started learning a lot of things. I started experiencing a lot of things. But yes, one thing I would like to tell here, Mr. Abhishek, that you know, uh, as Dr. Arun was also mentioning, that failures have come a lot of times, and it was tough certain times to overcome those failures. They were tough that I was in a verge of breaking down, but no, I was in a verge of quitting it, no, but yes, because of the support of this is what we do, and then we just overcame them, and then we found okay, fine. We found a right path. Okay, this is the way, and then we started the journey. So this is how the journey started, and yes, it's been almost 20, 21 years that I have been into this pharmaceutical profession, and yes, it has been a lot of ups and downs in the whole journey. Okay, and but I would like to tell you here one thing is how quickly you overcome those downs, and you get to climb that steep, because that's very important when you have to when you have to overcome, and when you want to go ahead. So that's what my starting was, Mr. Abhishek. Okay, so now if you want me to uh, you know uh, want me to tell you something like, okay, fine, what uh, what should I tell the upcoming pharmacist or the pursuing pharmacist or the students who are coming off, who have already come out of the pharmacy courses, and they are thinking that what they need. There are a lot of avenues, okay. And first and foremost, what I would like to suggest, say, because I'm a very small person to give advice, I can only give suggestion. Okay, and only one thing I can suggest them is that they need to listen to what they want to do. I have been telling this a lot of times to my lot of my subordinates, my lot of friends, that do what you feel like doing. It's not that somebody has been successful doing something so you run behind that. No, he was successful because that was his passion maybe, and you may not be because that's not your passion. So it's always that you need to run behind what you need to do, rather than there are a lot of things even in our industry which which is very, very lucrative. But it doesn't give you always, it doesn't, it takes you there. It takes a lot of hard work, as Dr. Arun was saying. It does take a lot of hard work, a lot of sacrifices. So, and the most important, I keep on repeating that, it's like your interest. If you're not interested, nobody in the world or nobody in this whole universe can make you do them. So that was my travel till date, Mr. Abhishek. So
How was your
so
journey?
yes,
Overall, 21 years of a journey you have like in pharma industry.
as I told you, the journey was not very smooth. It had a lot of ups and downs. Okay? And every time I felt that no, I'm achieving something. Complacency was there, which was hitting me. I, it's I can definitely I can agree, and I can not just it comes to everybody. At certain point of time, this complacency comes, and you feel that okay, you have achieved a lot of things. But when you look back, when you see somebody overtaking you, then you start thinking you have achieved nothing. Has a long way to go. So when I started with a company. I worked there for almost 4.5 years, and then started switching off the companies. And as I said, like I was starting to learn a lot of things because in this, during the first 3-4 years, what I felt is that the knowledge is something which is very important, and it's the only thing which can take you, to the place where you want. Because without the knowledge, you are zero. Okay. So I started, joining a lot of training sessions, given by a lot of, big people. I started attending, a lot of webinars, and then of course the business school, which I went, helped me a lot. Okay. And and I I started applying those things. I started applying those things in my day-to-day work. Because see, many times it happens that you go to a school, you learn certain things, or not even at school, you learn a lot of things, obviously good things, and you do not tend to apply those things. What is the use of it? Nothing. Until and unless you apply what you learn, it doesn't give you any result. It doesn't fetch you any results. And that's why the journey, what I was telling was, it was not so easy. Many times I fell down. I I thought that no, I cannot do it. I might have to quit. But then I thought that no, there's nothing. If human beings can reach to moon, what is this? This is nothing. I used to stand up again and then start running again. And yes, and that has given me that was my my success mantra. It might Many people might not believe on that, but I always believe yes, there will be a lot of times you will fail, and failing, I don't see anything wrong in failing. Until unless you fail, you don't tend to learn. And the only way to go ahead, only way to you know achieve something is to, until unless you fail, you don't achieve. There is, you name anyone in the whole universe that who has not failed a single time and he has achieved whatever he wanted in life. Okay, no big people, no big scientists, they have not failed many times. They failed, and only then they worked harder, and they worked sensibly, and then they could achieve what they wanted. So this was the journey, and it's still going on, as I said.
Okay. How was your experience? Like you worked in various places in India. Worked in Calcutta, you worked in Ranchi, you worked in Bangalore, you are working in Hyderabad, and various other places you work. How was the experience without knowing the language?
See, to start with, I started my career from a place which was a very alien place for me. Though I did my, uh, you know, I did my studies, my bachelor's I did there, but as a student, you don't have a lot of places to explore. Okay? And it's definitely different than a professional, the way the professional looks into and a student will look into. There are a lot of difference there. And trust me, it was so very difficult. Initial stages, the language different. And when I'm basically, I'm into sales all these years, and my most important thing is communication, and that is exactly where I was having a problem, because without communicating with my customers, how do I go ahead? How do I sell my product? That was a big hindrance for me. But yes, as I told you, that it was in me, it's my nature that failures will be there. A lot of times it did happen that somebody was telling me something and I understood something else and I was replying to him something else, and it was a big mess. But yes, then I thought that this is not the way I can go ahead. I need to do something about it. Either I leave that place, go to my comfort zone, and I start all of again. But it's never, it will never give you anything, it'll never fetch you anything when you go into your comfort zone. Whenever you are in a place where it's very important that you have to come out of your comfort zone and work. So it did happen like this, that I ended up learning that language, because the only way I could overcome was that particular language barrier was to learn. There was no other, there was absolutely no other options left. I learned that. But yes, that was only when I was working in Bangalore. But when I went to other parts of the country, like, like east of India, or possibly, when I go to north of India, it is never a barrier, because I was pretty comfortable with, Hindi and English, so it was never a barrier. But yes, one thing I would like to mention here, like, it's very important, like, to be, especially for a sales guy, to be more, uh, he has to have that adaptability in himself. Like, it should be like wherever you go, whichever place you are placed. Okay, first thing is you need to adapt yourself to that particular environment. If you don't adapt yourself, you are not able to do it. You're not fit for sales, and that's exactly what I tell. Many of my subordinates, and I keep telling it, because see, there are places in the world. I would not say in India. There are a lot of places in the world where the climatic conditions are not so conducive. Okay, but don't you think there are sales guys there? Don't you think people work there? They do. How do they do? They adapt themselves with that particular environment. They adapt themselves, and they get used to it, and they make themselves used to that particular environment. And if you don't do it, you miss the train. So that's how, like, adaptability was one thing which, which I could I could see that, yeah, this is only one thing which can make me overcome all these hindrances, language barrier, the culture barrier, obviously the food barrier, because traveling to different parts of India, different parts of country. Though I did not have much opportunities to travel abroad, but yes, one or two places wherever I have traveled, I definitely had a problem of food, because you don't get your your food what you like everywhere you go. So you need to adapt yourself. But what do? But you can't stay hungry. You have to eat. So you adapt yourself to that particular environment.
Great, great. So, what was your learning from the pharma industry, as well as how you overcome the challenges you faced? You were telling again and again, like, no, you faced a lot of challenges, and you overcome that challenges. Like, no, And for any person's, in any person's life, the challenge is going to come. Whatever it may be, the challenges are going to come. How to overcome the challenges?
See, first thing, what I feel, again, I would say that it may not be, whatever I say, there might be a lot of people who might feel that that's not correct. But what I feel, I will share you my experiences, my principles, my thoughts. Like, you need to have, you need to motivate yourself. Self motivation is the only thing, the only way where you can, you overcome all this. Because as I told you, a lot of times I fell down. There were a lot of instances, because in sales you will get to know, you know so many, get to listen so many no's. You don't have even counterfeit. Okay, to get one sale you might have heard 100 no's. Okay, so, and what do? You go to a customer, you get to hear no. You go to the second, you get to hear no, and so on. And the fifth customer, and 50th customer, you again, you get to hear no. So what do? You give up. If you give up, you're gone. How I used to do it, I used to motivate myself. Like, you know, okay, what if this 50th customer has already told me no? I used to motivate myself. Okay, I have the 51st customer waiting for me. He might say yes. Okay. So what if he says yes? So I used to motivate myself that way. Okay. And yes, apart from that, I used to be a little patient, because without being patient, it doesn't work. It doesn't work, because sales is particularly, I believe it's only one profession. Whatever kind of sales you take, whether it's a pharmaceutical sales, whether it's, let's say, any other kind of a sales, you tend to fail. You tend to fail a lot of times, many times.
Yeah.
Before you see a face of success, you fail a lot of times. So until and unless you are patient, until and unless you are self-motivated, it becomes difficult for you to get through. Okay. Now, how to deal? Okay, fine. All these are big words like self-motivation, patience, and all. But the reality comes here, like, how do you really overcome that? First, you need to analyze, why did you fail. If you are able to analyze why have you failed, there are a lot of there's a big chance that you can turn this failure into your success. Because I remember Dr. Arun was saying certain things, that many a times he has done things which was not correct, and he felt that it was not the way it should have been done. Same way, I might be approaching to a customer the way I have been told by my bosses, by my training manager. But let me tell you, there is no particular thumb rule in sales. One particular principle what can work for one customer may not work for the other, right? So you constantly need to think, and you have to find out ways like, how do you overcome that failure? Because you might be see, when you work with a customer, definitely that failure will be there running back of your mind. That was last time I came here, last time I spoke to this big MD, and I spoke about all this. He asked me to leave his chamber. So you are conscious this time that you don't talk the same thing what you spoke last time with any other. I'm not talking about the same doctor, maybe some other doctor you're talking, and he is also a big, an MD. So you're a little cautious. So you learn from your mistakes, and you've already found out. What I mean to say is, you have already done an introspection. You know that this is exactly the reason of my failure. I was asked to leave the chamber because I spoke these things, which a doctor may not like. So this time, I make sure that I don't talk about all these things, and it might turn out to be a positive thing, and it turn out to be a sale for me. So there are not one thing, Mr. Abhishek, what what makes you, or what made me like a little bit success, whatever I have got in my career. It's not only one thing. Many times, depending upon the situation, depending upon the customer, a lot of things have worked. Sometimes things have backfired. Here, I would like to if any of your if the any young sales people, or a pharmacy guy or a pharmacist who is trying to get into sales, if he is listening to this, I think he would get a little bit motivated. And why I was talking about self motivation, why I was talking about patience, I will tell you. I would like not take much time. I will just like to share this particular incident what happened with me. It was during my initial phase. Okay, probably I was almost around 1 or 1.5 years into the profession. I was working as an executive, a sales executive, and I was meeting one. I would not like to, take the name of the doctor, though I remember his name very clearly. And he was a very very known MD in the city, Bangalore. And I have been meeting him for almost 1 year, and he was not supporting me. And every time I used to sit with my boss for any kind of a review, he used to ask me like, "What are you doing with this customer? Why is this doctor not writing? What is that you're not doing correctly in his chamber?" And trust me, Mr. Abhishek, I was absolutely clueless. I was absolutely clueless. I was doing what I was supposed to do. I was giving him the information which I was supposed to give. I was absolutely following, the way I was trained. I was just giving up my 100%. But even then, I was not getting the success. So I was one fine day. I thought that no, it's been almost 1 year. I was meeting this doctor, and that was the last day. I thought that I would be meeting him, and maybe after this, I will not meet him again, because he was not fetching me anything, and he was not supporting me. So it was waste of his time, and obviously waste of my productive time. It did happen that I was waiting to meet him that particular day, and during that time, the football World Cup was going on, and luckily I'm very much fond of football. So what happened was I was waiting for my turn to come. I was waiting outside the office chemist. He was seeing a patient that time, and he was talking to the patient. And suddenly I could overhear that he was talking about the previous day's football match. It was probably between Brazil and some other big team. Okay, and Brazil had won the match. So I overheard talking about that. So what happened is, because I already decided that this is the last day, and after today I'm not going to keep him in my list, so he will be out of my list. So let me give one final shot. And as I told you, I don't give up so easily. So I thought my approach was totally different that day. I said, let me see, I will give a final shot, and if he writes, fine enough. If he doesn't, from tomorrow onwards I'm not coming to him. You will not believe, Mr. Abhishek, when I went inside, I did not even talk anything about my product. I just introduced myself, my company, and I straight away went into a topic which happened to be one of his liking, football. And I just asked him, I said, "I'm so sorry, sir, but I somehow overheard you talking about yesterday's match between, Brazil and some other team. I don't remember which team it is." So you will not believe, this doctor for the last 1 year did not even speak to me a single word, not even good morning, not even thank you. He only used to nod his head. So this, what happened that day, I don't know. As I said, I would have, I was giving my 100%. My approach was different, and I spoke about football. And then he asked me, and it was really surprising for me. He asked me, Sanjay, you are from which place? Are you from Bengal? And I was surprised. I was like, how come does doctor remember my name? Because he never speak to me. He has never ever spoken about anything about my my products, my company, nothing. And that day we spoke for almost 20 minutes. And then I thought, okay, it's been too much, and a couple of patients were also waiting for him outside. So I thought of cutting off the discussion, and I just did that, and I thanked him. And even at that moment, I was very much determined that I'm not going to talk about any of my brand, and I did that. I said, thank you so much, sir. And I was about to leave, and then suddenly I could hear him calling me that, is this your brand? Is it available? And I was surprised. So he said, you please make it available. I'm going to write. I did that. And evening when I was going back home, I completed my work. When I was going back home, I checked with the pharmacist. And the pharmacist, this guy was overwhelmed. He was like so happy that that particular medicine was lying with him for almost 2 months and 3 months. So I don't know, every time he used to buy it, he used to give it back to the distributor. And that day he said that, why don't you send me another 5 boxes? And it was a miracle. So what I mean to say here, it's like not one particular, your way will work for you. I have failed for 1 year with that particular doctor, but I was really patient with this doctor. I never gave up. I could have given up 6 months, down the line. This doctor is not writing. I would have given up. But it was a motivating factor. Was like, maybe next visit he will start writing. Maybe next visit he will start writing. And trust me, even in the last day when I was entering, I always was very, very positive, and I always thought that maybe today he starts writing, and tomorrow onwards I won't have to delete him from the list. And that's exactly what happened. He started writing for me. So this is how I would state it as, or place it as, Mr. Abhishek. Like, you need to be self-motivated, and you need to be patientful, and you need to find out ways how to come out of your failures. It's not that somebody will come and tell you, hey Sanjay, you need to do this. You need to find out your ways. People might give you a guiding hand, but ultimately you are the one who have to do it. Yes, Abhishek. Is it there? Is not able to hear. Hello.
Thank you very much, Sanjay, for your
Ah,
valuable information. Actually, I was listening to you so deeply. Like, I remembered the days of my working. It was 21 years before when I started my career, and I was making 20 calls. When I started my career, I was making 20 calls in a day, where other people used to call me 10 doctors in a day and 10 chemists in a day. I was doing double the work, almost more than double the work. And I continued with that almost for 6 years. I worked in sales, and I got promoted twice in the 6th period of my sales career. After that, I wanted to give some information about the product management, where I have been working in product management from past 14 years now. And when I became regional manager, and when I came to product management after that, entirely everything changed actually. Whatever I was knowing, it was it was not at all applicable in product management actually. It was something else which used to work in product management. We used to have presentation, we used to have creativity work, we used to have a lot of other things. I can give you one story where I was reading throughout, I was asked to prepare visual aid, and I was like, I collected the notes, and I was reading through the notes. 4 or 5 years, like almost for 4 or 5 days, I was reading about the molecule and research all those articles about the molecule. And then my boss called me and said, it is not the content which is important. What you are going to do with the content, that is important. So what I did, then I understood is the real the content he wanted to convey to me, and then I prepared the visual aid, and then a lot of things changed actually. We never used to have presentation in my sales career. We used to have like lot of presentation work, lot of implementation, being in the office and working with the people. I used to be scared when after the regional manager position, when I came to product management, I used to be scared because all those people, I used to see managing directors, I used to see doctors, I used to see a lot of other senior people around always. And when I was in sales, I was free actually. I was working alone or with my manager for a few days, but I was always with my boss in the product management team. They were always around me, and after some days it became okay. Like then what happened when I started getting comfortable with them, then I started learning a lot of things from them. When I started recognizing the things in the proper way, then only I started working like learning about the product management. There is a great scope of product management in pharma industry, and the product management team work continues for almost, you can say, 24 hours. It does not end. When I was in sales, I used to do 20 calls and I used to come home and relax. But here, like my work was different. Like I started thinking for 24 hours in a day. Like what is going to be my next strategy? What is going to be the next input for my product? A lot of things actually we need to do in product management. And if a person is really interested, then only he can come to the product management. And the learning never ends in being in product management, because what happens whenever new molecule comes, you need to read everything. You need to know more than even doctors for certain molecules. You need to read a lot, and you need to remember all those important contents out of the molecule, and you need to launch the product. For that, you need to prepare a lot of content, a lot of ideas you need to work upon. Because when I started working almost 14 years before, I can say, in product management team, that time it was different. Now it has changed a lot because recent lockdown period has shown a lot of new colors into the product management, because we conducted even online training, we conducted online meetings actually continuously for few days. We were locked down inside our house conducting meeting continuously. So I was knowing about a lot of tools which I learned out of my own my own knowledge, which I used it here in product management, because I was keenly interested into online marketing, the way people used to promote the products, which was never told to me in my company. But out of my interest, I learned it, and immediately, I was learning from past 1.5 years, and it was like it worked actually, because none of my teammates were knowing about the tools, how to use the tools, how to conduct the meeting, how to conduct the online test, all those things. And even my boss were very happy because I was knowing all those. He never told me, okay, you should learn. But in being in product management, we need to learn and continuously learn, continue to learn and continue to use. This industry, pharma industry, will give you a lot of things if you are ready to take up the things. If you are ready to take up, then only the industry will give you a lot of things, a lot of recognition. If a person like me who has started working in one of the headquarters as a representative, and one person can grow to become vice president of the company also. And but only thing is, one need to learn. And in product management team, you need to be working for the brand, one particular brand, and you are everything for the brand. You are everything for the brand. You need to think about the brand for 24 hours continuously. And continuously you need to innovate the communication strategy, innovate about the how to communicate with the doctor, how to plan the inputs and activities, and other details about the brand. And one thing is very important, we need to learn from the best of the world. Otherwise, what will happen? The learning, whatever we have learned so far in Bachelor of Pharmacy or MBS, will not always work. We need to work extra. We need to work. We need to learn from the best of the world, because whenever you go in the field work, whenever you go for the presentation or during the launch of the product, you need to be the best, because they expect a lot of things. People in like in the sales, they expect a lot of things from you. They need a lot of guidance. They need a lot of clarification of the product, because if you are in large company, very large company, you have a lot of support system. Like you have training department, you have medical department, you have various other department to support you. But if you are in smaller companies where you don't have training department, if you don't have medical department, if you don't have research department or R&D department to guide you, you need to know everything. You need to be one source of information for the people around you. So you need to be very, very knowledgeable, and you should be able to use that knowledge in the marketplace to build the brand. Otherwise, if you are not passionate about building the brand, it will not happen. It will never happen. And we get tired actually. That happened actually a few years before, when I started getting tired during the presentation, during the meeting. And I called my mentor and I asked him, sir, what is happening? You asked me to come to product management. When I came here, I'm working very hard. What happened? Why I'm getting tired? Like he was telling me, like whether you are taking care of your health. I told him, yes, sir, I'm taking care of my health. I'm eating right, sleeping on the right time, and all those things. And he told me, no, that itself is not going to help you. You need to be working out. You need to work in the gym, or you need to work extra so that you should have more energy. Then I started working out in the gym for almost 6 days in a week. Because what happened, whenever you go for the meeting, you need to get up at 3 o'clock in the morning. And the same day, you need to present in front of 40, 50 people. And you should have much more energy than what a person can have in the hall. Then only your brand can become big brand. Otherwise, what if it becomes okay brand for you. Then I started following him, and I started working out in the gym. I started gaining more energy, eating much more right. I stopped eating junk food, because what happens when you are in product management team, you need to travel for almost 14, 15 days in a month, sometimes even more. And every 2, 3 months, there will be meeting where you need to present for almost 7, 8 days, 10 days in a month. So the presentation will start from somewhere around 9:30 to 6:30 or 7 o'clock, or maybe it can go a little longer also. So you should have much more energy, and you need to actually acquire more energy. Then only you can become suitable in the product management team. Otherwise, what happens if ordinary energy will not work here? You need to have more energy. You need to have creativity. You need to have much more passion to learn and grow. You need to learn something which you were not taught, or nobody is going to tell you to read and acquire this knowledge. But you need to continuously learn. Then only one can grow, and one can make good name out of all the pharma marketers available in the various companies in the industry. And that is very, very important. And second thing is networking. it is very, very important from other companies, people, as well as within the team, because you have around 400, 500 people in the team. You need to know each and everybody, because what happens, you need to sell your brand to them first rather than selling to the doctor, because they are the one going to promote the brand in front of the doctor, and that is very, very important to get to know them well, because you need a lot of information from them, from the marketplace, because you are working in the field, in being in product management, you are some days in the field, not all the day. So you need information about the brand, about the competitor activity, about the other companies' strategies, as well as other companies' communication, or what they are going to do. In advance, you should know all those things. Yes. So that is very, very important. And for the newcomers, it is very challenging and very, very dynamic field to work into. If you are ready to take the challenge, you can really come. You are welcome to that. But one should be ready to learn, ready to use the knowledge, as Dr. Arun and you were saying very, very clearly. Here also, it is the same. You need to work on the brand, work on yourself, and work in the industry. More than working on the brand, you need to work on yourself actually first. That is very, very important, because your positive attitude, your mental attitude is very, very crucial to build the brand. Because more positive you are, more knowledgeable you are, more you can deliver. So that is very, very important. And another way of telling that is, like, if you are contributing in the for the brand, if you are contributing for the brand, first you have to contribute for yourself, to build your own self first. Before building the brand, we need to work on our mindset, our heart set, and then the brand. So that will go together. It is not like only building on the brand, working on the brand will help. And you need to love your brand, then only the brand can build, and to build in a much bigger way.
Right.
Yes. So that is very, very good field one can work. And if a person starting from repetitive level, no, they can come to this field. It is not like they should have particular education to come to product management team. Even my friends are there in various companies. They are engineers. Basically, one of my friend is mechanical engineer. One of my friend is electronics engineer. They have come to brand management in pharmaceutical company. One of my friend is BSc chemistry. He has come and he is doing extremely well. It is not the learning only which is going to help out of your bachelor or your MBA or your master degree. It is the learning, continuous learning, which is going to work here. That is very, very important. So your knowledge, updated knowledge is very, very important. That is going to be very, very important. When you are going and meeting the doctor along with your team, they are going to judge you, because whatever doctors are going to ask you question, or whatever, how you are going to reply. So that plays very, very important role in how you are going to deal with them, how you are going to have good conversation with them. That plays very, very important role. You should not be always bossy with your teammates. It is not like that. Everybody is working. You need to work as a team to build the brand.
So, Mr. Abhishek,
Yes.
having said that, I would like to add some points here. You know, as you said, as you rightly said, that it cannot be a bossy thing, because I was quite privileged to work with, a good big amount of team. Like, I mean, in every company, since I became into the managerial role, I had an opportunity to work with the teams. Okay, and uh, I could relate to what you were saying. That, you know, it's very important that you do not show that bossiness to your teammates, because once you do that, you are not approachable to them.
Very
You
correct.
lose that, you lose that, bridge between, that between you and your teammates. So that's very important. But that does not mean that you become very lenient to them, so that they don't follow your instructions. So yes, I really, I can connect with that. So that was one point I was about to, that's the reason I interrupted you. I'm sorry for that, but I was able to very, very clearly connect with that particular point. Please.
Yes, yes. And whatever in learning, like uh, I never used to think as a like I used to have mentors actually in various fields. Like for my own learning, I was very very particular about selecting my mentors. I selected some of the international mentors where I, I underwent the training program of my train the trainer and other training programs. And it was great actually, greatest of the learning I had with my mentor, because if they are world class, they are going to teach you something which you are not aware of. So we should know our weakness, our strengths. That is very, very crucial, because as an individual, we will not be able to know our own weaknesses. So that if a third person, if a person is, he is a mentor for so long and he has been teaching the people in world, and he could able to find out a lot of things within me, and I am working on that actually. We need to be better and better always. So it was continuous learning and implementing those learnings actually. And in 2019 I learned a lot, but I could able to implement, you can say, 8-9% of whatever I learned. So in 2020 I am going to use those learning actually
Yeah.
for the
All the
yes,
best.
to you, Mr. Dr. Arun. Yes.
No, I just wanted to say all the best to go and
Well,
apply all those learnings.
Thank
yeah,
you.
I have a small question to Dr. Arun here,
Yeah.
because see, I would take back, during our college days when we were about to, like, we were in the final years of our BPharm, and maybe we were thinking like what we could do after this. For me, I was very clear that I want to work as early as possible,
Yeah.
as fast as possible. But I'm sure it's not so with all the students. It's not so with everybody. So I'm sorry, Mr. Abhishek. I don't think you mind me asking this to Mr. Arun here, right?
Please ask.
Okay, fine. I thought I might have interrupted you. So, anyways, so what I was telling is that how and what would you tell? Okay, what is required of somebody who is coming out of, because Dr. Arun, as you are already into a clinical research and R&D kind of a thing. So I would like you to just address some of these points to the aspiring pharmacists, or the students who are about to finish off their courses and come out as professionals. So I would just like to ask you, like, what are the things they should be doing? Say, for example, I'm in my final year right now, and I want to pursue, like, pursue my career into uh, R&D, okay, research and development. So what are the requirements? What do I need to do? So if you can just put some light on this, Dr. Arun.
So if you need to get into R&D, there are a couple of things that you need to keep in mind. One is, what is the see, as a bachelor student, let's be clear, it's very difficult to get into R&D. Okay, realities are realities, all right? Minimum you need to have masters, and masters does not guarantee you get into big companies. Okay, the global multinationals, you need to have a PhD. Then it's the amount of years of experience that you have in research in particular fields. Like, for example, proteins is an area in itself. Okay, so vaccines is separate, medical diagnostics, then all these instruments, software associated with diagnostic instruments. There is so many fields in research. Okay, so now you need to first of all understand what is your life goal. um, at multiple things, or can you learn fast? Can you get up there? I mean, these are all your behavioral traits from that you need to know about yourself. You cannot always depend on your parents or friends. Or my dad told me this is good, so I will go for that. Um, I mean, having done masters, you need to know something about what you want to do. Okay, so it's no longer you're not even doing bachelor's. Sometimes people get you never know. It will take you like maybe 1 or 2 years in bachelor's to understand that, boss, this is not for me. I
Yes.
don't want to do it. But see, sometimes, so it is a very hard decision if you want to actually leave that course and take up something else. There are many cases. I mean, I know a number of my friends who have left this course, who have taken something else, who have left some other course and have come and taken this. For example, it could be like, there are people who had left dentistry and come and taken pharmacy. And after having taken pharmacy, they understood that dentistry was better. These things do happen. It's the realities of life. Now let's also understand. So you need to know what is the kind of scenario, what direction would you like to take. For that, you need to do reading. You need to know what are the things that are happening in and around in the world. Now, for example, today, research in the area of oncology is very, very high. Okay, research in the area of non-communicable diseases like diabetes, oncology is a non-communicable disease. Similarly, these are all very high. Okay, so on the other hand, if you are in vaccines and you are in the line of infectious diseases, you may have lesser amount of scope in looking at new options. So you need to be aware of what is happening in and around the world in order to see what can be the channel. Then there's another important thing that you need to look at. Are you going to stay in India? Are you going to stay in your hometown? Or are you okay to go to other places? Can you leave the country? Now, if you're planning on leaving the country, do you have the right kind of qualification? Are you getting an admission into the right kind of university, whereby not only will you be able to successfully finish the course in scholarship, but also get the right kind of jobs? I would say 90% of the students who go out and study come back to India. Their original objective. Okay, that is the biggest mistake that they do, because they have already taken loan, they have already invested so much money. Now they're getting far lesser than what their classmates used to get over here in India. And now they are in a very distraught mindset right now. Okay, so that is how general life is. But later on, they may be able to go up. Okay, I mean, life has got its own plans. Okay, in some industries, they are only taking people with foreign degrees, because after that, for the right candidate, they will send them out. But let's also understand the realities of research. Now, for example, if you finished your M.Pharm from one particular college, university here in, say, Karnataka, and on the other hand, you have another candidate who's applying for that same job. It's IIT Kanpur, chemical engineering. You're not going to get it. I can tell you that. Okay, so and today competition is very, very high. If you're good in acads, you're not good in communication. There are multiple factors. If you're not good in all these things, you will lose the seat to many other life science graduates who are coming out in large numbers. And right now, Mr. Abhishek also just mentioned, saying that he's got a number of colleagues who are engineers who are in product management right now. So if engineers are in product management, you can imagine where your competition is. So that's the reality. So all I wanted to just say is that you need to understand yourself. What are your capabilities? What is your short-term goal, long-term goal? And accordingly, you need to plan. Understand how the environment is. Okay. And for example, till now, nobody was talking about vaccines. Now suddenly everybody's talking about vaccines. Every single company wants, even large, well-known industrialists are also jumping into the medical diagnostic thing. That is the current mood of the thing. But 6 months down the line, it may not be the case. Everybody will be back to oncology, for example. And I don't know. So you should be able, you should be agile enough to keep moving with the, the trends and the changes and what's happening in the industry and stuff like that. And that's where your education should help, and not just to show. All right, thank you.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Arun. Going back to Mr. Abhishek, Mr. Abhishek, you have been into like product development for so long into this, and I believe, as far as I know, like the product development and the training, it goes hand in hand. So again, my question to Mr. Abhishek would be: see, the motive of me asking these questions is basically for our viewers who are just about to come out of the college, or they would be like finishing off their maybe the masters or something. So what way they can get into this training? Is there a particular course which they need to take up to get into training, or they need to work in a company as an executive for some time to understand how the the industry works, how the system works, and then get into training? So, Mr. Abhishek, if you can just help us know this a bit, I think it would be great.
Yes. See, what happened, it is, first thing is, you have very good product knowledge, which very good, you should be doing extremely well in what you are doing currently. Suppose if anybody wants to come directly from the college, my suggestion to them is, let them get some exposure in the field. Let them work in the field for some time, then only they can understand what is happening in the field, because then only they can understand the difficulties people undergo while working in the field, working in the hot sun, working in the rain, working in the different environments, meeting the people. Then only they can prepare the strategy in the right way. Then only it is going to work. If they experience it, it is much better to have knowledge rather than just jumping into that product management team. If they want to go to the training also, then also I must say that they should have experience in the field. Then only they can understand the person, because your end user, your people, those who are going to listen to your words are going to, you should be understanding them first, because they are your target audience, not the doctors directly. They are your target audience. You should understand your target audience first. Then you should be doing extremely well in what you are doing. Suppose you are working in the field, you should be doing extremely good in selling. You should be good in product knowledge. You should be good in communication. Then you should think of, okay, let me go and attend the interview. And before the interview, you should prepare. Don't go just like that without preparing. Prepare well. Prepare for prepare the company's detail. Prepare about the product detail. Prepare about the molecules you are presently selling, being in the sales. And then one can enter inside the product management team. Entry is easy. I must say that entry is comparatively easy, but working here and excelling here, it becomes tough when one does not learn and does not apply the learning. So that is very, very important. Second thing is, one should know their strengths and weaknesses, and they should work on their strengths and weaknesses. Like, if they are not knowing them, how they will be able to know the product, how they will be able to understand the psychology of the people. That is very, very important in the selling. And they should be very good salesmen first before joining the product management, because your audience is not doctors first. Your audience is the people, because they are the brand ambassador of the brand you are selling. So if you are starting your career as a product executive or a management trainee, you will be given certain products, one or two products to handle, and how you perform with that particular brand, how your creativity grows, how the brand grows along with you, that is very, very important. So first few years of your experience with product management team, then only, that decides your future in the brand management. It's not like lying in the product, lying. It is not like a job where you can just work on the brand and it will grow. It's not like that. You need to think differently in order to get the required or desired notice for your brand, because there will be other brand managers around in your team. Why your brand should be promoted as a first brand, that is extremely important. And one more thing is very, very important is your boss should know that, okay, you should sell it to your boss also. Your vision of the brand, you should sell it to your boss also, not only to the people in front of you. You need to sell your vision to the boss also. Then only they can recognize, okay, this brand is important. This brand has extremely good scope in the marketplace. That is very, very important. When you are getting noticed and you are making other people to notice you or the other way around, then only you can understand, okay, I am going in the right track. Yes.
Sounds great.
Thank you, Abhishek.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sanjay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Very nice talking to you, Dr. Arun. And
Thank you, Abhishek.
thank you.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you.
Sanjay.
Abhishek.
Valuable time.
Thank you,
And
Dr. Arun.
be safe and during this lockdown period. And any last message you wanted to give it to the people, listeners? With Dr. Arun, your last message during the lockdown period.
Well, I would say to all the students, please spend as much time as possible to study, to prepare on what you can do next. As many people as you can reach out to on social media professionals. I don't mean friends. I mean other professionals. Understand from them, get their guidance as to what works, what does not work, based on your personality, based on your type, uh, your need at home. Okay, because majority of the people have families, parents that they need to take care of, maybe an elder brother, sister, whatever, or younger siblings that needs to be taken care of as per our traditional aspects. So you need to also consider those aspects. If you're looking at higher studies, my suggestion is always look for universities that are recognized and the government universities in foreign countries, and not some one single room universities that many people go from India and then finally lose the money, lose their certificate, and finally they come back into such attempts of taking an easy route. There are no easy routes. There is no easy route. A lot of people before you have already tried it, failed. So there are no easy routes. Go for the long, hard haul. That is the way it works.
That's great.
Thank you, Dr. Arun. Yes, over to Mr. Sanjay.
It's more or less the same, but I would like to tell the students that not to take this lockdown period as another holiday or something. Try to utilize the time as much as possible, as Dr. Arun was also rightly saying that you should learn things, try to learn new things, try to establish new relationships, professional relationships. And this is a time when you will never get back, because this is something where your colleges are maybe they are not working, right? You might be having online classes, but that's still maybe for a few hours in a day, right? You can spend some quality time with your family, okay? Which on a normal, routine life, we fail to do that. We don't, because we get busy so much into our studies, into our other activities, that we feel to get into a family activity and a family gathering, it actually happens, right? So these are the two important things I would like to, tell the students: utilize this time and spend time with your family as well, some quality time, because you're not going to get this time back. You will get this time back only once you retire. Because before that, see, right at this moment, it's like you don't have much thing to do professionally. You don't have much thing to do as a student as well. So utilize this time as much as possible. And obviously, stay safe, stay indoors, and obviously to follow the directives which has been given by the government. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dr. Arun, and thank you, Mr. Sanjay Paul. Thank you.
Thank you,
For
Abhishek.
time you have given
Thank
to
you once again. Thank you, Abhishek. And thank you, Dr.
Thank you. I appreciate, really appreciate. Thank you.